The discovery of this door with the keypad was huge. For the first few days, I had been gradually pulling layer after layer off this mystery. Opening that door and seeing what was behind it could break this whole thing open. The buttons had numbers, not letters on them. A good thing, since it meant fewer possibilities to guess, but it was still a long shot. After hearing Professor talk about this thing like he was protecting the Da Vinci Code, I knew not to try 1, 2, 3, 4. Obvious patterns, such as the corner numbers and the interior numbers, were out too. That left about 1,000,000 other possibilities. How much time did I have? Then I remembered those references to Poe. I knew a little bit about the year he was born, the year he died, the year he talked to his fellow West Point cadets into financing the publication of one of his books, only because it was such a crazy story. A year would make sense because keypad codes were usually 4 digits. I had to be careful, though. I was afraid a few failed attempts would shut me out. Then I had a thought. The only other year I knew from Poe's life was the year he published a book he called Eureka. I looked it up one time because the title was intriguing, but the book itself was strange, boring, and practically impenetrable, so I gave up about 20 pages in. The publication year stuck with me, though, because it was the year before Poe died in 1849. I had a thought about how lucky it was that Poe wrote it before he left this earth. Would Professor have chosen this year for the code? He clearly was interested in Poe, and Eureka would be appropriate if Professor thought he really had discovered something in his research, maybe something as momentous as Poe thought he had discovered. I punched in the numbers 1848. I heard a beep and saw a green light. I grabbed the knob and tried to turn it, but the glove was slick and I couldn't turn it. I tried my left hand as if that would make any difference, and then both hands. How long would this green light last? I fumbled for what seemed like a year, and finally, what seemed the last possible millisecond, I got it to turn and push the door open. Ahead of me was a stairway leading down into a dark basement. I stood there at the top of the steps and thought again about what was happening, what I was doing, what I was risking, what would happen if I get caught here. Even if I could get away scot-free, did I really want to know what was down there? I remember suddenly realizing how dry my mouth was while my skin was soaking wet. Here was another Rubicon to cross. I could still leave. I could pull this door shut, walk out the front door, walk down the block, get in my car and drive away, leaving this secret and all the danger and the possibility that came with it behind me. It wasn't too late to walk away. Standing there at the top of the stairway, looking down into the darkness, my mind went to a strange place. I didn't think about what I had heard the professor or his cousin say. I didn't even think about what I would risk by going down there. Instead, I thought about my life. My dull life of going to school, hanging out with friends, going to college, and what next? Getting a job and a regular paycheck, buying a house in a neighborhood like this one. Well, probably not as nice as this one. Maybe getting married and raising kids, binge watching TV series in the evenings, going on the occasional vacation to Gatlinburg. What was riskier? Going down those stairs and discovering a secret that could get me killed, or abandoning this secret forever and returning to a life of green lawns and a life lived through screens? I started down the stairs. I guess the poetical part of my brain had been activated because his story started coming back to me. The narrator of the Black Cat had buried his beloved cat in a basement. Then there was the cask of Amontillado. If Professor found me, would he chain me to a wall, pull out his trowel, and start walling me up? At the base of the steps, I flipped a switch and a small green lamp came on, illuminating a dozen books strewn over the table it was sitting on, each one laid propped open with little bean bags. Barely visible in the shadows were endless shelves of books all the way around the room. At the end was a desktop computer with 3 huge monitors. Where should I start? Everything I needed to know about the secret could be right here, but I didn't know where to find it. I walked slowly through the room, running my eyes over the walls, the shelves, the table, just waiting for something to catch my eye. And then something did.